Welcome to the Action Shooting Show. Welcome to the Action Shooting Show. I don't think the first one started, or we got a double beginning. We'll have to see. So I'm here tonight with Mike Ford, and we're gonna do a quick, kind of knock out a quick after action. We I don't think this one's gonna be real long. This is actually the second time we've done an after action on this match. Last year it was Mike alone, and I shot it with him this year. So what we're talking about is Cola Warrior Keystone. So that's out in Pennsylvania. The Geisley range, Geisley strip mining range, I guess. So yeah. So we'll go into this. Mike, you want to give us a quick breakdown of the flavor of the match? I guess if no one's familiar with how the Cola Warrior matches work.
Sure. So Cola Warrior is a pretty neat event. It's definitely a match that focuses on testing your limits, and they're not doing it through a crazy long 5K, 10K course. Cola Keystone does it with an obstacle course, a run, a pistol shoot, and a rifle shoot. And there's a couple unique things along the way that test your abilities for weapons manipulation. And what makes it Cola Warrior is part of it is a 70, I believe, 72-ounce cola chug, or 1 gallon of milk if you're extremely brave or something else. And so it's a pretty neat match. The obstacles themselves are challenging but doable, and the run is not normally extreme, just kind of get your heart rate up. And then the unique thing with the pistol and the rifle shooting challenges is they are definitely testing your skills. And it's not like a USPSA match where you're doing a lot of high-speed weapon manipulation. Cola is very accuracy focused. So there's some limitations on Cola Keystone. You're only allowed 2 magazines for each gun, and they had some pretty far pistol hits. I believe maybe out to around 75 yards. And then the rifle is the same deal. You're allowed 2 magazines for whatever rifle you choose. There's no optics classes or cartridge caliber classes. It is just, can you get the job done? And that is a unique facility to shoot at because you're shooting across a mine that's cut into the hillsides of Pennsylvania. So you are engaging targets out to 700 yards with your chosen rifle from the positions assigned to you. And there's some challenges amongst those. So that's kind of the flavor. It's a fun match to go to. You see a lot of people go and they camp. They make a long weekend of it, and it doesn't go into Sunday and like a lot of matches. They tend to try to get the party kicked off midweek and through the end of the week and wrap everything up Saturday. So it's definitely a match that I think anyone that's into the action shooting should try to wrangle an invite from a Cola Warrior for. Ryan, did I miss anything?
No, so I think the big thing, and so a lot of people hear about this match and they think it's kind of juvenile, which I guess in some ways you can consider it. So the whole thing, you're I can't remember if Mike just mentioned this. So at like one point you're field stripping and reassembling an AK while eating a sleeve of Peeps. After the run and the shooting and all that, you've got also, of course, you've got the cola chug, as he said. And the whole point of this is just like you're doing things to make yourself feel uncomfortable. I mean, in this day and age in America, I'll speak for America, most people live a pretty comfortable life. And I think part of the Cola Warrior is taking yourself out of that. So the obstacle stuff, they were actually, I mean, the obstacles were really, really difficult. Normally I don't struggle with obstacles at matches and weight things, and I had trouble with a handful of them at Cola. Actually, I think one in particular, and then that kind of trashed me for the rest of it. But it is it's a very interesting and unique match. So again, it's I don't know that I'd say it's invite only, but to shoot one, you have to have somebody who has shot a Cola Warrior vouch for you. Basically, the whole thing is very, very like a tight-knit group. So it's not that they don't want new people coming in. They just want the right people coming in. They want the people that are there to have a good time, to do fun things. And they don't want kind of naysayers, I guess, or, it's a little ridiculous. It's a little bit different. And I just think they want to make sure that the people that are coming are that kind of people that enjoy that kind of thing. Because there's a lot of people I tell about it, and they're just like, that's stupid. Cool, I get it. It is a little bit, but if you're going to go into it feeling that it's stupid, you're not the right attitude, the right, personality to really go there and have fun. Does that seem accurate, Mike?
Right, and it's one of those things of, number one, you can't take yourself too serious because you're going to make some mistakes. It's a very you encourage the crap out of each other. And part of that is there's some pretty friendly heckling going on. In fact, it was pretty quiet this year, but in the previous year, I think it was probably the best heckling I've seen in any shooting match I've been part of. And let me tell you, I've seen some fantastic heckling in my day. So yeah, you can't take yourself too serious, and you have to be willing to show up and commit to the uncomfortable and expanding your boundaries. We saw somebody chug one container of soda and call it quits. And I don't know if that person's going to get such a friendly invite coming back next time. It's one of those things of you're there to put out some effort and learn about yourself. And if you're not okay with being uncomfortable, it's probably not the right crowd for you.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll get into the match here. Actually, real quick, we'll just go over gear. People like that. We're just going to kind of go over it. I think it's nothing real special. So I shot my 18-inch, kind of Mark 12-ish, modern day Mark 12. So 18-inch stainless steel barrel, carbon fiber handguard. I've got a Athlon 2-12 scope on there. And I was running my Thunder Beast suppressor. Nothing real special about any of that. My staccato, which I always run, I was able to borrow a couple 26 round magazines. That ended up definitely, I ended up with ammo at the end, but that definitely was nice to have with only being allowed to carry 2. So that was nice. And I ran combat class, which was not very smart. So I had my plate carrier with some level 4 plates in it. What is it? Slickster, Ferro Concept Slickster with plates in it, a little chest rig for everything and standard belt rig. Nothing special there. Combat class, you have to have plates. The pack had to have, I know, at least water. You got to have something to carry all your chugs in. A first aid kit, like, combat gauze and tourniquet and that kind of stuff, IFAK. And was there a weight limit on any of that, Mike? Did I have to have weight in it as well? I don't remember. I think
I think that it's the loadout, not a weight.
Yeah. But, so there's just a handful of things.
It'll definitely get you up there in weight, though.
Yeah, so if you go to do one of these, just look at the rules or whatever. But I had whatever the loadout was. That's what I brought, in a little rucksack and stuff like that. Matt or Mike, as far as your what you took out.
Yeah, so it was a pretty standard kit for me for a rifle. I took my 16-inch running gun rifle that I run. And this year I moved over to an A5 system and Marzell lower, and it's a little bit more friendly going back and forth from suppressor on, suppressor off, and that rifle has a little section of Arca rail on it, and my Razor Gen 3, and I ran a Sandman K with the 5.56 end cap. That rifle with my 69 grain hand loads. averages around MOA, maybe a little bit above. So it was with a about 2850 velocity. So pretty good rifle for this match. Reaching out to 700 yards is definitely pushing it for 5.56, especially with some wind. I know that I probably had the most wind hold I've ever had at a match to pull off that the 700 yard impacts, but it got it done and did it pretty well. For a handgun, I ran my Glock G45 with Acro, and it, uh, no complaints. It did what it normally does. I didn't do any kind of crazy classes this time. Just kind of stuck to running slick with a backpack for my chug. And I did bring a bag with me as a possible rest, but that didn't end up working as well as I'd hoped. But I was still able to shoot the entire course clean, which at a Cola Warrior event, that's something to be proud of. There's always a lot of people that don't have that ability, just due to the difficulty of the shooting challenges. So that's kind of it for Kit for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is. I didn't shoot it clean. It's definitely a tough course. I mean, so let's get started on the course because we are going to try to knock this out quick. So it starts with a crawl. They had a giant military vehicle. Mike may know what it was. I don't. It's high enough off the ground, but you got to crawl underneath it, pushing I don't know, 30, 40 pound medicine ball. So you got to push that all along underneath it in front of you. Once you get out the front, you take that medicine ball and you got to put it back at the start where you started with it. You know, you have to reset your own course on all of this. So after that, you had an obstacle that was absolutely brand new to me. I did way better at it than I thought. And that was a handstand wall walk. So they had I think originally, whatever, some of the original Cola Warriors, they have like a Connex. In this case, they just built like a wooden wall goes all the way down to the ground where you can start. So you lift your feet up, you know, you're doing a handstand, and then you're walking across the ground. After you get like past just the very beginning, the wall's actually cut out about 2-3 feet up, just so that you have to keep your feet, you know, up at a certain height. And combat class has to do this with their pack or whatever, all their stuff. So like the best thing I thought, because as soon as I put my pack on and got it upside down, it was all going to come down, you know, around my waist or, you know, around my shoulders. So I actually put one hand through the pack and just kind of drug it behind me. And so you have to do like, I don't know, 10, 15 feet of wall walk. And then as long as your feet touch like a mark on the other end, that's where you're done. If you don't go all the way and you come off of it first, you have to start over. So that was easier than I was expecting. I mean, it wasn't easy, but I've never done it before, so I thought it was going to be really, really hard. Next, you want to go over, Mike? You want to go over the next one, the peep skip ball?
Yeah, peep skip ball is one of those things that you don't think it's going to be that challenging until you go to do it. And so what they do is they have a 25-pound and is either 40 or 45-pound medicine ball. And then they've got a piece of plywood, 10, 12 feet in the air, and it's got a peep cut in it. And so you can take the heavier one and throw it through the peep 3 times, and it has to be from one direction. You can't throw it back and forth both directions to the hole. Or you can take the lighter one and throw it 6 times. So this is kind of like some wall ball on steroid stuff going on. After you just crawled underneath that truck, after you just did these handstand down this wall, now you're going to go and do that. So you have to kind of get this jump shot thing going. And I both years have opted for the lighter ball and just more reps, because man, if you miss it, that's a lot of energy burned up with no return. So if you have not done wall balls though, it can be pretty difficult to gauge the amount of momentum and everything you need to make it happen. And I feel bad because Ryan kind of got himself a crash course
Yeah.
in how to do those this year.
Yep. This was the one I did not complete this, and this kind of really killed me for later on. So, although, did I skip the chain? Was the chain before or after Peeps Get Ball?
Might have been before. Now that I think about it,
Okay,
yeah, I
well,
think you're
we'll go
right.
to the chain. Yeah, we'll go to the chain. But I every time I went to throw the medicine ball, my brain, as I'm throwing it, feels like I'm going to throw it too hard and overthrow it. And I just kept checking myself to where when I finally got the height that needed and really got it in my head, like I made 2 or 3 of them with the lighter one. I was worn out. And we'll tell you the one right before this. But which was already kind of drug, kind of zapped some energy, and I didn't really have enough eat food and that sort of thing. I mean, we did it like first thing in the morning. But yeah, I just burnt myself out trying to figure out how to throw this thing through the right height, and it just kind of affected the rest of the day. So before Peeps Get Ball, they had a kind of carport type easy up deal, and you had a chain to drag all the way around it. And I mean, the links on these things were, I mean, this is a mining area, so I'm guessing this is some kind of heavy equipment chain. But I mean, it is massive. I don't know. What do you think that thing weighed, Mike? Because it was heavy, but it was awkward heavy.
Um, Man, somebody said something. Uh, my guess is each one of those links was probably 8 to 10 pounds, and there was, I think it was like
10.
18 or 22 or something. There's
Yeah,
a bunch.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
talking about probably 10 feet of links.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. About 10 feet of it, 8 to 10 feet.
Yeah, so you're
And
you're
yeah, you.
looking at more weight than what Ryan weighs.
But the thing about it was you're dragging it, so you don't have to necessarily lift all the weight, but you're also just dragging it across the ground. So it's not like it's just smoothly going. So that zaps you. You go into the Peeps Get Ball, and that absolutely just, so the first 2 I did fine, or the first 3 I did fine on. Peeps Get Ball went poorly for me. And then after that, you had let's see, you had your water jugs. They had like 7-gallon jerry cans that you carried, one in each hand, down a hill. Then you had to walk across 2 kind of 4x4s up in the air without falling off of them, and then walk back up the hill and put them back. At no point could you set the barrels down. And if you fell off, you had to start the whole thing over. So that was another one. I lost enough energy with Peeps Get Ball that I had to start over twice, and on the third time, I just kept going because there's only so much time you have to finish it, and I didn't want to miss doing something else that I could more easily do. So I kind of bailed on that. And then, Mike, do you want to kind of go on from there?
All right, so after the water container carry, which was pretty sporty, and you were going up and down that steep hill, which that's one thing you had to be careful not to wipe out going up and down. You, you went over and had the classic peep eating and weapon field stripping activity. So Ryan and I jumped on that, and it was really sporty this time because they did not have an AK rifle available. So they went out and purchased an AK shotgun. And if you've ever been around 3-gun or other competitive shooting disciplines, the AK shotgun variants, uh, there's a few different variants. They're not all the same. and they are some notoriously finicky, picky, weird creations.
Yeah,
So
I think this was a cheap Chinese made, like it was not a good shotgun.
yes, and it had been damaged previously in the activities leading up to the event, to the point that they're like, hey, you're going to be able to get this thing like 90% assembled, but like that's probably it. And we'll kind of let you know when you're there. And so we started our peep eating activities and got rolling on that. I had a fun learning thing is I didn't know Ryan really disliked peeps. And while I don't find myself a rip roaring fan of shoving marshmallowy peep goodness in my mouth, at the same time, apparently I don't have that disgust level that Ryan has for him. So I got my peeps in and fought with the AK shotgun, but at least was able to get it to cooperate with me enough to complete that activity, and then head out on my run. How did that peep snack for breakfast work out for you, Ryan?
Yeah, I did appreciate the sugar rush from that. I mean, I finished all of them. I disassembled and assembled the shotgun, but it definitely wasn't the quickest I've ever eaten anything because I don't know, stale sugar is not my bag, I guess. But I did it. It was not all that enjoyable, but the run afterwards wasn't so bad. So
Yeah.
keeping this flowing, you eat your peeps, you do the shotgun thing. Actually, I still had a mouthful of peeps when I started my run, and you have a like a half-mile run. It's actually really pretty. I mean, it's nice little trail they got you going on. You get through that whole little half mile, you come to the shooting area. So get there, you put eyes and ears on, you get ready, and they got a short bus there. So on the beat, you run in there, you load your pistol, and they had the back door open, and you had a handful of targets from the back door you had to neutralize. And I think, as Mike kind of alluded to earlier, I mean, none of this was the hardest shooting I've ever done, but most of the targets were a little bit on the smaller side and not real close. So you neutralize a handful of targets. It's been a couple months. I don't remember exactly. Handful of targets from the back, kind of back end and two windows. Then you run forward to the front window, and you've got another handful of targets. And then you had one out at 125 yards. Does that sound right, Mike?
Yeah, I feel like it was at least 100. It was a pretty sporty shot with a pistol.
Yeah, I don't, for some reason I thought someone said 120, but it could just be 100. It was far at 75. It was far enough out that it was definitely takes a little bit of effort to, make sure you get a good shot on that. And I mean, I don't know how many hits were on this part, but keep in mind you've only got 2 magazines. So I got 26 rounds. That's a decent amount, but you definitely have to make each hit count because there's still some pistol later on. So neutralized all that, holstered up, went running down the hill, and Mike, I'll let you take it from here because this is some of the long range. I know you did a lot better on it than I did.
Yeah, so your first position in this was you actually climbed on top of what you'd think of as kind of like maybe a Matco or a Snap-on truck. And they had some railing welded up there, and you actually had to use that railing, kneel and use that railing and shoot. And I think your first target started at maybe it was like 350 or 4. I mean, it starts a good ways out. And you had to work across this valley until you engage targets clear out at 700 yards. So, Cola Warrior, you get there when you get there. There's no rain or wind. You just got your allotted amount of time to make your hits. So I got on the platform, tossed my shooting bag on, started going to town, and was doing pretty good. They give you the range, which is pretty cool. like a range card that you get to look at before you take off on your run. But once you're actually up there, then you're kind of on your own. And so Ryan and I's ROs were a little different. Mine told me which target I had to shoot in what order, so that slowed me down a little bit because Geisley's range is littered with steel, just all sorts of steel out there. And so I had to find the target that they wanted me to engage, confirm that I was looking at the right target and they were on it, and then shoot it until it was neutralized, then get my next target assigned. I guess some of the guys were able to pick their targets and then just tell the RO where they were going, which would definitely have reduced your time. It's not a big deal for me. It maybe cost me a little bit of time, but at the end of the day, it was pretty challenging no matter what. Also, because my shooting bag slid off the rail, and then I was having to use my handguard, the carbon fiber handguard, or maybe the aluminum ARCA section, and try to keep my rifle pretty leveled to reach out there and engage those targets. So I was pretty fortunate, was able to, even about when I was really starting to struggle to find out where I needed to be for wind, I was able to get on a target that I could see a little bit of splash in the dirt and give me a correct hold. And then once you're done with that, there was some close range stuff that you needed to neutralize. And let's see. And yeah, you had to climb down off the top of the truck to finish up with rifle. So, and that had its own unique challenges. I'll let Ryan kind of let you guys hear about that from him. Oh, Ryan, I think you're muted.
Yeah, I just saw that. So I just found my range card. So there's 11 targets. The closest was 353. The furthest was 700. And so the thing with all that is, like Mike said, there's 11 targets, but there's probably 30 or 40 out there in the range. So you just didn't need to know. You had to know which target, where it was at, and what distance. So that was definitely a challenge. So, man, I'm going to try to think. So coming off the truck, you went to was there pistol down there too? Or there's pistol up on top of the truck, wasn't there?
Yeah, I believe there was pistol on top of the truck, and all of it, while not crazy tight, again, you burn a lot of time shooting at that long range stuff. And
then shooting at a downward angle.
Right, so you're shooting at a pretty steep downward angle. They're not giving me pistol hits, and by then you're definitely starting to feel the burn on time, because Cola's unique that any target you failure to neutralize is a 5-minute penalty. So you're in
10, isn't it 10? I thought it was 10.
It's 5, but either one,
okay.
It's brutal.
It's a lot.
Absolutely brutal.
It's a lot,
so
yeah.
It's very, very tempting to try to go to war with that long range to try to save yourself.
Yeah.
So that's it's very easy to get lost in the clock up there, and and just find that you don't have time to hit the other stuff. So you take care of the pistol, and then you go down to it was a board, right?
Yeah, like a VTAC or some kind of similar board that you had. Was the Throoms first and then the long range, or yeah, I think they had some Throoms and some shorter range rifle. We're gonna try to get this up. I know I'm forgetting some of the details. I know I had some long range rifle, and at one point you had rifle with just one hand. So
yep,
and they had some strong hand, weak hand too. So I know that kind of got me. My kind of Mark 18-ish gun has a fixed stock, and I had not shot that with plate. So eye relief from my weak side and kind of a weird situation. It was a little bit of a challenge. But yeah, so you ended up with some kind of close-ish out to like 100-yard shots and some smaller steel with the rifle, and then that is your shooting match. I think we said, I don't know if we said it's 10 minutes. You get 10 minutes to complete all of that. 10 minutes sounds like a whole lot of time until you're running from, I mean, that's from when you first start shooting till the end. So you've got, 50 to 100 yards between each of the bay areas you're shooting in, or the two shooting areas.
Mhm.
So once you finish up with that, you have everyone's favorite part, the cola chug. So you grab all your stuff, your pops, what you've had on you, and you meander over to they've got a little bench there, and you've got 10 minutes to chug your 72 ounces. Me and Mike both chose, they got 12-ounce cans. So is it 12 ounces or 60? And then there's 6 of those. It equals however much you have to drink. So I got 4 or 5 drank. I think 4. I was on my 5th, but I couldn't finish my 5th. So I didn't get the full chug. And again, it's like a 5 or 10 minute penalty for everyone you don't chug. Mike, you got all 6, correct? And you threw up though, or
So
you finished the 6 when you threw up one of them. So you technically only got 5.
yeah, so that is the tough thing, is if you you upchuck on a container, you lose it, and you take the full penalty for whatever that container size is. I did the 12-ounce containers again, which put me at I believe it was a 5-minute penalty. So yeah, I do not have the volume for 72 ounces of carbonated beverage in my torso yet. Not sure how to even create that. And so just like last year, I was working, got the 5th one about halfway down, and that was it. So lost that one, and unfortunately took the penalty for it, and was able to reset and get that next one all the way down. So only one penalty. So for me, it was a clean shoot. I was fortunate to be one of the guys that had a clean shoot. Only took a penalty on the chug, and that put me in a 7th, I think that was. 7th or 5th.
No, 5th. I think you got 5th. I think it was 7 the year before.
Anyways, I did better than the year before, which that's the big thing with Cola is, it's really cool if you win. I mean, obviously there's some guys out there absolutely crushing it. And so tip of the hat to those guys. You know who you are. But to improve year after year at Cola is it's a pretty cool thing. And I appreciate the opportunity and the guys at Cola, especially Dale that organizes the Keystone event, and to Bill Geisley, who lets us use his range so graciously. Thank you for your hard work, effort, and putting on a fantastic match. Can't wait for next year.
Yeah. So it's a neat event. I think we're going to wrap this up. It is a really cool event. Obviously, thanks. This is my Keystone shirt. Thanks, Geisley. They had a lot of prizes on the prize table, and that's really awesome. So I ended up getting a new Geisley trigger out of it, and some other little stuff here and there. And it's we don't shoot matches for the prizes, but when they have cool prize tables, I mean, that I got home and that trigger went right into a gun. So, and I think I shot the match with a SDE. So there's Geisleys in just about every gun now. So Mike, anything to add before we wrap this up?
Nope, I think we did a good job of covering it. I think we did a little bit more in depth on it last time, but there's a lot more Cola Warriors. There's a lot of people joining. We're pretty thrilled to see a couple faces from the running gun community out there with us, and it sounds like a few more are planning on joining us next year. So yeah, try to get to a Cola Warrior event, test yourself, test your gear, and enjoy the friendship and camaraderie there.
Absolutely. That's the best part of these matches. So we're going to wrap this up. Thanks for listening. And we'll hopefully see you out at a match.